The sky over Earth had never looked so quiet. From the vantage point of the orbital station, Commander Elias Kane watched the blue planet spin slowly beneath him. He had seen this planet in war simulations, in maps, in reports, but now seeing it real, alive, made his chest tighten. Something was wrong. The council had been nervous all week. Their faces pale, eyes darting at each other, like predators sensing danger. It had started with a transmission, sudden and encrypted, coming from the edge of the solar system. A signal so precise, so deliberate, it made even the most seasoned council members shiver. The words were short, almost mechanical. War declared. Earth target. Begin countdown. Elias had memorized the phrase immediately. Every syllable rang in his mind. War declared. Earth. His stomach sank as the reality hit him. This was not a drill. The council knew. And yet no alarms had been raised publicly. Earth's billions of people went about their daily lives, completely unaware that something had seen them as weak, as a target, as expendable. In the council chamber, Elias saw the tension in the air. The holographic screens flickered, showing star maps, data, projections. Every other member sat stiffly, whispering, pointing at a distant glowing dot beyond Neptune. The enemy's fleet, a force unlike anything humanity had faced before. Elias could feel the weight of destiny pressing down. Dr. Leora Chen, the lead scientist, spoke quietly but firmly. They know our weaknesses. They've been watching for decades. The council underestimated how fast they could mobilize. Her hands trembled slightly, betraying her calm voice. Elias noticed, though no one else did. The orbital station hummed with activity. Engineers rushing to reinforce shields. Pilots preparing for missions. Communications officers scanning signals for any hint of the enemy's path. But the quiet dread hung over everything. Even as the station's AI announced routine checks, it felt like ticking closer to an explosion. Elias walked to the observation deck, staring at the thin curve of Earth. People down there had no idea that alien ships, larger than continents, were threading the black void like hunting predators. He wondered if they ever would. The council had debated evacuations, defenses, and negotiations, but time was short, and they weren't sure the enemy would negotiate. Then a flash of movement in the distance caught Elias's eye. Not stars, not satellites. Something else. Something huge. It moved fast. The AI blinked red warnings, but before anyone could react, a message appeared. Engagement imminent. All fleets to battle positions. Elias felt a chill. This was it, the beginning of something humanity had only imagined in stories, movies, and simulations. And yet, unlike fiction, there were no pauses, no rewinds. The humans of Earth were about to step into history's harshest chapter. Below, on the surface, the city of New Geneva buzzed with life. Cars, pedestrians, children laughing. None of them knew that moments ago, a signal had sliced across space declaring their planet for destruction. None of them knew that the people in the orbital station, soldiers, scientists, commanders, were preparing to fight a battle that could end civilization as they knew it. Elias's mind raced. He remembered training exercises, strategy games, warnings from the council. None of them felt real until now. And yet, in this surreal moment, he found clarity. Humanity had always faced threats. It had survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and internal strife. Could it survive this? Could a fragile planet of humans armed with ingenuity and courage withstand the wrath of a fleet that could crush worlds? The council chairman, a stoic man named Ren, finally spoke. His voice, calm but heavy, echoed through the chamber. This is not a moment to falter. They have underestimated us for centuries. Humanity survives not because we are the strongest, but because we refuse to surrender. Prepare your fleets, prepare your defenses, and pray that we are fast enough. Elias turned from the observation window, his reflection a ghost against the black of space. He felt fear, yes, but also a strange resolve. This was the first step. The first move in a war that could define the fate of every human alive. And though the odds seemed impossible, he remembered something his father once told him. The measure of a species is not in how it falls, but in how it rises. Somewhere deep in the dark reaches of space, the enemy moved closer, silent and deadly. But Earth was not defenseless. Humanity had faced impossible odds before. And now, on this quiet, spinning planet, the fight for survival was about to begin. The first alarm blared. Red lights flashed. The countdown had begun. Elias gripped the console. His pulse raced. History was being written, and humanity was in the middle of it. And as the distant stars shimmered with the glint of approaching alien vessels, one thought ran through his mind. They think they can destroy us. They don't know who they're facing. The first tremors of panic hadn't reached the surface yet. On Earth, life went on as if the signal had never come. Children played in sunlit parks. Office workers argued over deadlines, and the hum of daily life masked the approaching storm. But in orbit aboard the station, the reality of war was impossible to ignore. Elias Kane stood over the fleet maps, tracing the path of the alien vessels. They were fast, too fast for anything humanity had encountered. Ships the size of mountains moved through the void, sleek and black, almost alive. Each one could carry weapons that would level cities without hesitation. And yet Elias noticed something. The enemy's formation wasn't random. They were precise, calculated, almost arrogant. They assumed humanity was unprepared. "Commander Kane," a voice said. It was Lieutenant Mara Voss, one of the youngest pilots assigned to the orbital fleet. Her hands shook slightly as she tapped at the controls. "We've confirmed multiple ships in the outer trajectory. They're heading straight for Earth. Estimated arrival, 6 hours. 6 hours. Elias felt the weight of those words like a physical blow. 6 hours to prepare for an attack that could end everything. "Tell all fleet commanders to take defensive positions immediately," Elias ordered. His voice was calm, but inside a storm raged. "We can't afford mistakes. Humanity depends on this moment." Mara nodded and left, her boots clanging on the metal floor. Elias turned to the holographic display. Plans scrolled in front of him. Evacuation routes, defense grids, orbital cannons, drone swarms. Humanity had never faced such a threat, yet every mind in the room was already working at maximum capacity. In the council chamber, Dr. Leora Chen adjusted her data pads. "Commander," she said, "we've discovered something in their technology. It's not just destructive, it's adaptive. Their weapons change patterns in real time. Shields that work one moment will fail the next. We've never seen anything like it." Elias felt a chill. Adaptive weapons meant the enemy could learn from every move humanity made. Each attack would be smarter, faster, deadlier. But surrender was not an option. He remembered something from humanity's past long before space travel: ingenuity. Humans had survived impossible odds by thinking differently, by adapting, by refusing to be crushed. He turned to the council members. "We need ideas no one else would try. Every old rule is broken. Every tactic must be new. If we're going to survive, we have to be unpredictable." Outside in orbit, the first of the alien scouts appeared. Small, agile ships faster than any human fighter, glinting like shards of black ice. Pilots scrambled to intercept, but the scouts moved too quickly, slipping past defenses like shadows. Reports flashed in. Small cities were already under surveillance. Earth's defenses could hold, but only just. On the ground, the first signs of alarm began to trickle in. Strange lights in the sky, communications blackouts in scattered regions, and mysterious energy pulses detected by military satellites. Panic was beginning to bubble beneath the surface, though most people still believed it was natural phenomena. Elias's thoughts returned to the fleet. He walked to the hangar bays, watching pilots check weapons, fuel, and guidance systems. Each face was tense yet determined. Humans were not trained for this level of threat, but they were willing. The willingness alone was something the aliens could not have predicted. Lieutenant Mara returned. "Commander, the scouts are regrouping. They're not just probing, they're testing our response times." Elias nodded. "Then we'll give them a lesson. Launch interceptors. Keep the Earth grid safe. And remember, don't just fight them. Outthink them." The first engagement was brutal. Small fighters clashed with alien scouts, bursts of light and energy streaking through the blackness of space. Human pilots fell, but they also adapted, exploiting weak points in enemy patterns. Each victory was minor, each loss painful, but every moment bought precious seconds for the planet below. From the observation deck, Elias watched the chaos. His stomach twisted with fear, but also with pride. Humanity was not surrendering. They were improvising, resisting, and fighting back. Dr. Chen approached him quietly. "Commander, we've analyzed their ships further. There's a core, a small but critical component. If we can hit it, we can disable the entire vessel. But it's heavily shielded." Elias considered it. "Then that's our goal. If we can take out one, even one, it will send a message they didn't expect. Earth doesn't surrender. Not ever. 6 hours to survival. 6 hours to prove humanity's resilience. The alien fleet advanced, confident, precise, and ruthless. But humans had something they could never understand. Something far more dangerous than technology. Imagination, courage, and stubbornness. Elias's eyes hardened. He spoke softly, almost to himself. They think this is the end. They don't know the fight has only begun. And somewhere deep in space, the first major battle for Earth was about to erupt. A battle that would test every human, every machine, and every idea. It was not just a fight for survival. It was a statement. Humanity would not kneel. The first explosion in orbit lit the darkness like fireflies. The war had begun. The silence of space shattered in an instant. Light streaked across the black void as alien ships advanced in formation, weapons humming, ready to strike. Humanity's fleet, smaller and slower, hovered in tense anticipation. The orbital cannons powered up, shields bristled, and pilots gripped controls with white-knuckled determination. Commander Elias Kane watched it all from the bridge. His heart pounded, but his mind was sharp. Every decision mattered. Every second could save millions of lives or end them. Targets confirmed, Lieutenant Maravos said. Her voice steadied despite the chaos on the screens. They're breaking formation, moving in for a direct approach. Elias leaned closer to the holographic display. The alien ships weren't just fast, they were smart. They adjusted instantly, predicting human maneuvers. The fleet would have no easy victory. But humans were not meant to surrender easily. Focus on the cores, Dr. Leora Chen reminded him, appearing beside the console. Hit the small critical components in the center of each ship. We can't destroy them completely yet, but even one crippled vessel will force them to adapt. The first volley of plasma fired from humanity's orbital cannons. It streaked through space, a ribbon of glowing energy. Some missiles hit, some missed, and a few bounced harmlessly off adaptive shields. One of the smaller alien ships flickered violently before stabilizing, a warning of their technology's resilience. Mara took off in her fighter, weaving between beams of energy that tore through space. She fired missiles, dodged counterattacks, and communicated with other pilots. Their formation was chaotic, but humans thrived in chaos. "Commander, we're losing 2 interceptors," Mara shouted. "Need backup." Elias didn't hesitate. "Deploy drones. All autonomous units intercept now." The hum of thousands of machines filled the station as they shot forward. Tiny, fast, and expendable, the drones moved unpredictably, confusing the alien targeting systems. Explosions lit the void like fireflies. Humanity lost ships, yes, but the enemy was forced to react, recalibrate, and hesitate. In those moments, humans found their advantage: creativity, unpredictability, courage. From the observation deck, Elias saw Mara's fighter dive under a massive alien vessel, coming from its blind spot. With a precise shot, she fired a concentrated energy beam directly at the vessel's core. The alien ship shuddered violently, then erupted in a controlled explosion. One ship down, one small victory, but enough to spark hope. Cheering erupted among the fleet, but there was no time to celebrate. The aliens adapted, their attacks becoming faster, more synchronized, almost like a living organism. Humanity's fleet was pushed back, shields flickering, alarms blaring. "Commander, shields at 40%. One officer shouted. Elias clenched his jaw. Humanity was outmatched in power, but not in spirit. "Hold the line," he barked. "Every shot counts. Every decision counts. We are not prey. We are humans, and humans survive." On Earth, satellites recorded streaks of energy in orbit, but people still didn't understand what was happening. Cities flickered with power surges, lights blinked in strange patterns, and a few lucky astronomers glimpsed massive shapes moving against the stars. Humanity's secret battle raged unseen, hidden by the safety of distance. The alien fleet tried to flank the station. Their massive cruisers moved like predators circling prey, but humans were faster in thought, not just in movement. Elias gave rapid orders. "Redirect plasma cannons to the left flank. All fighters intercept the cruisers. Use the station's gravity field generators to destabilize their approach." Gravity field generators were untested weapons, risky and unstable. But desperation bred boldness. Energy rippled through space, distorting the alien ship's trajectories. One massive cruiser spun out of control, firing wildly, destroying part of its own formation. Chaos spread through their ranks. Dr. Chen smiled grimly. They underestimate us, she muttered. Humans always find a way. Elias watched, a surge of pride swelling in his chest. Humans had fought through plagues, wars, famine, and extinction events. They were resilient, adaptable, stubborn. Each pilot, each drone, each calculation mattered. They were not just surviving. They were proving that Earth could not be taken easily. Mara returned from the front lines, her fighter smoking, but intact. We did it, Commander. The station held. We hit the cores on 3 more ships. They're retreating slightly, trying to regroup. Elias allowed himself a brief exhale. Victory, small and fragile, had been won. But the enemy was still powerful, still advancing. This was only the beginning. As the stars settled back into quiet, Elias turned to the fleet. His voice, calm but commanding, cut through the tension. We've made them think twice. We've shown them we fight. And we will keep fighting every day, every hour until Earth is safe. Humanity will survive. They may be stronger, but we are clever, and we are united. Outside, the alien vessels shimmered, adapting, recalculating, and preparing for the next assault. Humanity had won a battle, but not the war. And in the dark reaches of space, Elias knew one truth above all. Survival was not guaranteed, but courage and ingenuity could change the course of history. The station hummed with quiet determination. Pilots checked weapons, engineers repaired drones, scientists analyzed data. Humanity had struck first, struck clever, and struck with heart. Elias looked out at Earth, glowing blue beneath him. The planet had survived another day, and so had its people. But the war was far from over, and somewhere in the shadows of space, the enemy fleet prepared for their next move, unaware that they had awakened something far more dangerous than technology, the unbreakable spirit of humanity. The sky over New Geneva was no longer calm. Strange lights streaked across the horizon, pulsing and flickering as if the heavens themselves were warning humanity. People stopped in the streets, pointing upward, eyes wide. Phones buzzed with unexplained signals. Drones hovered in the distance, and the hum of alien engines resonated faintly but undeniably above the cities. Commander Elias Kane watched the reports from orbit. The alien fleet had pulled back slightly after the first engagement, but their main forces were still approaching Earth. Their goal was clear: fear, confusion, and ultimately, destruction. But humanity refused to bend. Commander, sensors show multiple ships entering the atmosphere, Lieutenant Maravos reported. Her face was tight with tension, her hands moving over the controls almost automatically. They're descending faster than predicted. Civilians could be in danger. Elias clenched his jaw. Alert ground defense teams. Evacuate civilians where possible. Activate orbital shields above major population centers. And prepare the planetary defense cannons. This is our world. We fight for every inch. On the streets of New Geneva, panic had begun to spread. People ran from glowing streaks that streaked across the sky, unsure if they were natural phenomena, meteors, or something worse. Emergency broadcasts warned people to stay inside, but the reality of alien ships descending made the calm instructions almost laughable. Still, humanity had one advantage aliens could never understand: unity in crisis. Engineers and soldiers moved quickly, setting up defenses, directing traffic, and improvising solutions. Barricades became makeshift shields, communication networks rerouted to avoid alien interference, and the first wave of anti-air drones were deployed, buzzing like metallic bees over the city. Commander, they're targeting the power grids, Dr. Leora Chen said, her eyes scanning holographic projections. If they succeed, the cities will be paralyzed, but we can reroute energy through decentralized nodes and keep the defense systems online. Elias nodded sharply. Do it, every person matters. Every second matters. The first alien ships broke through the upper atmosphere. Huge, dark vessels, their surfaces gleaming with unknown energy, descended toward Earth. Their weapons fired, scorching swaths of forest and desert as they tested humanity's defenses. But humans adapted immediately. Defense grids activated, shielding major cities while fighter pilots and drones intercepted smaller craft. Mara took to the skies again in her fighter. She dodged plasma beams, fired missiles at approaching ships, and guided civilians to safety when possible. Even though the aliens were technologically superior, human creativity, unpredictable maneuvers, clever use of terrain, and coordinated strikes made them hesitate. In orbit, Elias and the Council coordinated every effort. Focus on their cores again, he ordered. Even partial damage will slow them down. Hit them wherever possible and retreat before they can retaliate. Dr. Chen worked tirelessly, monitoring alien systems, predicting their next moves. They're learning, she warned. Each of our attacks changes their patterns. We can't repeat the same strategy twice. But humanity was ready for that. They improvised constantly. Drones moved in unpredictable swarms. Fighters approached from unexpected angles, and the planetary defense cannons fired in rapid, shifting patterns. Each attack was a mix of instinct and ingenuity, and it worked. Several alien ships faltered mid-air, some crashing harmlessly into oceans or deserts, others exploding violently before they could reach population centers. Despite the danger, the people on the ground witnessed something remarkable. Soldiers and engineers, even ordinary citizens who had been pulled into defense efforts, moved with courage and purpose. They rescued trapped civilians, repaired damaged defenses, and improvised solutions in real time. Humanity was fighting back not with sheer force but with resilience, adaptability, and determination. Elias felt a surge of pride, though he didn't let it show. This was the essence of HFY. Humans were not the strongest, but they refused to be broken. They improvised, they endured, they fought together. Every small victory mattered. Every life saved was a triumph. Hours passed, and though the alien fleet remained formidable, humanity had proven something crucial. They would not surrender easily. Mara returned from a dangerous sortie, battered but alive. "Commander, we've slowed them down. They didn't expect coordinated ground and orbital defenses. We forced them to rethink their attack." Elias allowed himself a brief, grim smile. "Good, but this is only the beginning. The fight for Earth has just begun, and they will not stop. Neither will we." The first signs of hope began to spread among humans worldwide. News broadcasts showed small victories, heroic rescues, and the determined faces of soldiers and civilians alike. The message was clear. Earth would not fall quietly. And in the darkness beyond the atmosphere, the alien commanders observed the chaos with growing frustration. They had expected a quick victory, a submission without resistance. Instead, they faced unpredictability, courage, and a stubborn species that refused to yield. Elias turned from the screens to look at Earth below. Cities glimmered, forests stretched endlessly, oceans reflected the setting sun. The planet was battered but still alive. Humanity had survived the first major assault, and though the enemy would return stronger, smarter, and deadlier, they had proven one thing. Humans fought not just with weapons, but with heart, mind, and spirit. Somewhere in orbit, Mara spoke quietly, almost to herself. "They don't know who they're facing. They won't stop. Neither will we." Elias nodded. "And they never will." Above, alien vessels regrouped, energy glowing ominously, preparing for the next strike. But humanity had learned a valuable lesson. Courage, creativity, and unity could challenge even the most powerful enemy. And Earth would never surrender. The alien fleet had retreated slightly, hovering in orbit like predators circling wounded prey. But Commander Elias Kane knew this was only temporary. They would return stronger, faster, and deadlier. Humanity could not wait. They needed to strike first to take the fight to the enemy before Earth became a battlefield of fire and ruin. In the council chamber, alarms still flashed from the earlier assault, but Elias remained calm. His mind was focused on the next move. We can't just defend. If we want to survive, we need to go to them, to disrupt their fleet before they regroup. Lieutenant Mara Voss leaned over the tactical display. "Commander, a direct strike would be risky. Their main ships are shielded and heavily armed. But there is a path. We can send a small strike team to hit their cores. It's dangerous but possible." Dr. Leora Chen nodded. "I've analyzed their formation. There's a weak point near the center of their fleet. If we can reach it even partially, we could slow them down or force them to retreat. But the cost may be high." Elias clenched his jaw. High cost was inevitable. "Prepare the team. We move in stealth mode. Every pilot, every drone, every resource counts. This is not just survival. This is a statement. Humanity fights back." The team gathered in the hangar. Pilots checked their suits, weapons, and craft. Engineers double-checked guidance systems and drone programs. Everyone moved with precision, though tension filled the air. Death was possible, but surrender was not an option. Mara approached Elias quietly. "Commander, I've flown in worse situations. But this is something else. Are you sure we can make it?" Elias placed a firm hand on her shoulder. It's not about certainty. It's about courage. Humans survive not because they are the strongest, but because they refuse to give up. We faced impossible odds before, and we'll do it again. The small strike fleet launched into space, silent and determined. Earth shrank behind them, a blue gem glowing in the dark. Ahead, the alien fleet loomed, massive and foreboding. But humans had something the aliens could never understand: unpredictability. As they approached, sensors picked up enemy scouts. They were fast, lethal, and precise. Mara's squadron weaved through them, using erratic maneuvers and quick thinking to avoid detection. Drones moved like swarms of fireflies, distracting the enemy while the pilots closed in on the fleet's core. Elias monitored their progress from the station. Every pulse of energy, every alert, every transmission felt like a heartbeat. The team was vulnerable, but they were also brilliant. Mara guided a small group into the blind spots of the enemy formation, and Dr. Chen remotely assisted in identifying weak points in the ship's cores. The first strike hit. A concentrated energy beam found the core of a massive alien ship. It shuddered violently, shields flickering, then began to explode. Shockwaves rippled through the fleet, forcing the aliens to retreat or risk further losses. Humanity had struck fear into the heart of the enemy. But victory came at a price. Several human fighters were lost, their brave pilots sacrificing themselves to protect the team and ensure the mission's success. Each loss was felt deeply, but it also inspired those who remained. Humanity's courage was relentless, and their refusal to surrender became a weapon itself. Elias watched the reports and felt a swell of pride. Humans had taken the initiative, turning defense into offense, proving that even against overwhelming odds, ingenuity, courage, and determination could shift the balance. Mara returned, battered but alive. "We did it, Commander. We've slowed them. They're regrouping farther from Earth. The fleet won't attack for a while." Elias allowed himself a brief moment of relief. "Good, but we can't let them recover. We need to prepare for the next move for when they strike again. Humans survive by learning, adapting, and refusing to give up." Dr. Chen added, "Their technology is advanced, yes, but it relies on predictability. Humanity thrives on unpredictability. We've shown them that already. The message is clear. Earth fights back, and Earth wins when it refuses to fall." On Earth, people noticed small signs of hope. Satellites and observatories recorded the explosions in orbit. News broadcasts showed stories of heroic pilots, brave engineers, and civilians working together to protect their planet. Humanity had not just survived, they had struck back, sending a message across the stars. Humans were not prey. Elias stood on the observation deck staring at Earth. Cities glimmered, oceans reflected sunlight, and forests stretched endlessly. Humanity had survived the first wave and had made their first bold strike into the unknown. Mara joined him, placing a hand on the console. "Commander, they'll be back. Stronger, smarter. Are we ready?" Elias smiled faintly, determination in his eyes. "We're ready. We fight with every resource, every idea, every bit of courage we have. They think they can crush us. They don't understand who they're facing. Humans survive. Humans adapt. Humans fight back." And somewhere beyond the reaches of Earth's orbit, the alien fleet recalculated, frustrated and cautious. They had underestimated a species that refused to surrender, that adapted in real time, that could turn even desperation into strength. The war was far from over. But humanity had proven something crucial. Survival was not just about technology or strength. It was about spirit. And the spirit of humans, unbreakable and relentless, would not be defeated. Elias turned from the observation deck, ready to prepare for the next challenge. Humanity had taken the first steps from defense to offense, and every move forward carried a lesson, a victory, and a promise. Earth would not fall. The alien fleet had regrouped far from Earth, massive cruisers floating silently in the void. Commander Elias Kane and the Council knew this was the decisive moment. Humanity had survived, adapted, and struck back, but the enemy's leaders were still out there, calculating, preparing to crush everything. Elias stood in the command center, eyes fixed on the holographic display of the alien flagship. It was enormous, dark, and almost alive, bristling with weapons and shields that shimmered like black ice. Every instinct told him this battle would demand more than courage. It would demand ingenuity, sacrifice, and a stubborn refusal to fail. "Commander," Dr. Leora Chen said, "this is it. Their core systems are heavily protected, but if we can penetrate it even partially, we can disable their fleet entirely. We've trained for this and we have a plan. But the cost may be high, Elias nodded. We know the stakes. We've survived impossible odds before. We adapt, we fight, and we do not surrender. Lieutenant Mara Voss tightened her grip on the console. We're ready, Commander. The strike team is prepped, fighters are loaded, drones are on standby. Earth depends on us. The strike fleet launched, cutting through the void with precise coordination. Each ship moved unpredictably, weaving past enemy defenses with skill born of desperation and ingenuity. Humanity had learned from every previous encounter, every attack, every maneuver. Every small victory was a lesson etched into the minds of pilots and engineers alike. As they approached the alien flagship, the enemy responded with unmatched speed. Energy beams fired, shields flared, and small interceptors swarmed like angry hornets. But humans were not easily deterred. They dodged, regrouped, and struck with tactics no machine could predict. Commander, core is within reach, Mara reported. Her voice carried both tension and resolve. We can make this strike count, Elias gave the order. All units focus on the core. Every fighter, every drone, every weapon, hit it simultaneously. This is humanity's statement. Let them know Earth does not bow. The fleet surged forward, energy beams converging on the flagship. Drones swarmed like metallic clouds, distracting enemy defenses. Fighters weaved through laser fire, guiding missiles toward weak points. And then a single coordinated strike hit the core. The flagship shuddered violently. Shields flickered, then collapsed. Explosions rippled across its hull. The alien commanders realized too late that humanity had struck decisively, unpredictably, and with courage that no algorithm could anticipate. But victory was not without sacrifice. Several human fighters were lost, their pilots giving everything to ensure the mission succeeded. Mara's ship took heavy damage but survived. Elias watched the reports with grim satisfaction. Humanity had prevailed through intelligence, bravery, and unbreakable spirit. The alien fleet faltered, confused and disorganized. Without their flagship to coordinate, their formations broke apart. Many ships retreated, others drifted helplessly in orbit. Humanity had turned the tide. Elias turned to the council. We've proven one thing, he said quietly. They underestimated humans. They thought technology alone could crush us. They didn't account for creativity, courage, or unity. We are alive because we refuse to surrender, and we fight smarter, harder, and braver than they expect. Dr. Chen smiled faintly, exhaustion in her eyes but pride in her voice. This is HFY at its core, not strength alone but spirit, not weapons alone but heart. Humanity survives by refusing to yield. On Earth, the aftermath of the final battle became clear. Satellites recorded the alien retreat. Observatories tracked drifting enemy debris. News broadcasts showed stories of human ingenuity, courage, and sacrifice. Civilians who had helped rescue others were celebrated. Soldiers and pilots honored. Humanity had endured, and they had done so together. Mara approached Elias in the command center. Commander, we did it. They're retreating. Earth is safe for now. Elias looked out the observation window at the blue planet below. Cities glimmered. Forests stretched endlessly, and oceans reflected the sun. Humanity had survived an enemy that seemed unstoppable, and they had done it not with the strongest weapons, but with courage, ingenuity, and an unbreakable will. They'll be back, Elias said quietly, and we'll be ready. But today we celebrate what humans can do when they refuse to surrender. They thought we were weak. They were wrong. The council nodded. Every member understood the truth. Survival was not guaranteed, but human spirit was limitless. Every challenge, every impossible situation, every threat became an opportunity to rise. That was the essence of humanity. Above, in orbit, the last of the alien ships retreated into the darkness of space. Humanity had won the battle, but the war had taught something far greater. No enemy could predict the resilience of a species that fights not just for survival, but for each other, for hope, and for the planet they call home. Elias turned back to the command center. Prepare defenses, continue training, and remember this day. Earth has survived because humans refuse to bow, and they never will. The station hummed with quiet determination. Pilots repaired ships, engineers rebuilt drones, and scientists analyzed alien technology. Humanity had not only defended their world, they had proven that they could fight back against the greatest odds imaginable. And somewhere, Beyond the stars, the aliens would remember one thing. Humans were not prey. Humans were fighters, thinkers, and survivors. And when they rise, nothing, not technology, not fear, not the vastness of space, could break them. The war had tested humanity, and humanity had risen. Earth spun silently beneath them, alive, free, and unbroken.